Ladies and gentlemen, it's a wonderful opportunity to welcome conductress Susanna Mälkki today with me at Michael and Friends. Susanna, the first question before we talk about you and your career and your endeavors. What is paradise to you?
What a beautiful thought to think about. Well, for sure, in my paradise, there will be music. So it should be a paradise for the senses, for the eyes, for the ears, for the nose, pleasant temperature. I think it's a sensory place. And obviously it has to be a place where there are only good, willing creatures and, very fairy tale-like. But yes, there will be music in it too.
Is it rather a dream situation for you, or is it something you have already encountered?
I think actually there are moments when I'm really feeling incredibly blessed. If I'm in a performance and the playing sounds fantastic and the piece is larger than life, then I can have these moments when I'm thinking, oh gosh, I'm so fortunate to be right here, right now.
Susanna, you came to us for the very first time with the Orchestra Filament Swiss. That was a very special project. I remember we did it on the theme of metamorphosis. We created a concept around senses. There was actually perfume sprayed into the concert hall. It was a performance called Oriental Night. We had Rimsky-Korsakov's Scheherazade, a work by Alice Frangi-Sadeh, and also Ravel's Bolero. Do you remember this performance?
Of course, I remember it very well. We were rehearsing in Davos, which is high altitude, so that was something that I had not experienced before. The orchestra was lovely. It was great to meet the composer Alizadeh. And yes, of course, I was extremely excited to be at the famous Lucerne Festival and everything. And how amazing that we are in contact after all these years. It's so lovely.
Well, then you were a young and upcoming conductress. Today, you're one of the most important conductors in the world, conductresses in the world. You've been here almost, I think, very regularly, almost every 2 years with the Ensemble Intercontemporain. Then in 2016, you gave a performance with the Lucerne Festival Academy Orchestra in our Prima Donna theme, a year when we presented 14 conductresses. Did you think it's a little bit overdoing it?
No, I think it's really worthwhile to keep a debate on this topic. Personally, I've always approached it as something that is organically taking place, and in a way, if we concentrate too much on the topic, we are away from the main thing. I'm not sure if I express myself clearly. I think for all performers, what we do is the most important thing, and we should always try to remember that. However, of course, we are performing artists, and who we are is also interesting, and it's relevant, and highlighting this question is definitely important. And I think when you had this festival, you created a lot of debate with it, which I guess was also your intention, not only having the concerts, but also bringing this topic on the table, so to speak.
You come from a country where a lot of conductors are educated on the highest level. Many of them make major careers. You have many colleagues who are, surrounding you and then working with you on the highest level in conducting. Is Finland a special place for conductors? Is there a special focus also on female conductors?
Well, the Finnish conducting training is famous, which is probably one very central reason for that. I think it's a combination of the circumstances and about the general idea of conducting as a profession. You know, it's rather pragmatic approach. I think all of us have a background as instrumentalists, and we also have experience in orchestral playing in the orchestra, which is certainly helpful. Maybe there's something about the mentality of the Finns. I don't know. I mean, music is important to us, and I'm not perhaps the right person to say because I'm coming from the inside of it. But what I appreciate a lot is that there's a beautiful collegial spirit amongst conductors. This is actually rare. It doesn't exist everywhere, but we have wonderful rapport with each other, and we can talk about things. And I think that is it's nourishing the young generation. It was certainly nourishing for me when I was less experienced, and now I can transmit my own experience to whoever wants to ask. You know, it's just in the tradition. I think that's a big part of it, probably.
Well, to me, there doesn't seem to be any other country at the moment that is bringing out one brilliant conductor, whether female or male, one after the other. It's stunning to see. There must be some magic in the air, I'm sure. And well, we had last year, one of the highlights of all your performances when you came with Helsinki Philharmonic, and you brought a program that combines tradition with contemporary thought, with Jens Norgard, with Jean Sibelius, Taipiola, which is rarely played, then Dieter Amann's piano concerto with my brother Andreas, which of course for me was a special emotional experience, brilliantly done, and such a demanding program. And that really was one of the highlights to me of the festival ever.
Thank you so much. Well, we were very honored to be on the festival, and for the orchestra also. I think it's been one of those absolutely unique and memorable experiences. I mean, because of the amazing acoustics of the hall as well. I mean, we could hear all these pieces with new ears. Even Tapiola, which is a piece which is kind of in the DNA of the orchestra, but we played the Nørgaard, the Saariaho piece, of course, and then Amman, and the incredible clarity of the acoustics, and still the warmth and generosity of sound and the resonances and everything. And the audience reception was just incredible. So yeah, it's been beautiful. Thank you so much for that.
What makes such an orchestra being able to just blend between contemporary and traditional music and have such a naturalness about it?
I think there may be sort of overall curiosity, which is not eclectic in the sense that we consider one thing to be more worthy than the other. I mean, we of course take great care in learning the idiom of every composer and the style, but I think the contemporary music and living composers have always been really a central part of Finnish music life. And the collaboration with composers and performers has always been very close. So in the orchestral paysage, it's the same. And certainly during my time with the Helsinki Philharmonic, I wanted that to become even more prolific thing. And it's also, I think there's also another aspect about it, which is that since we are a young nation, we are creating the core repertoire of the Finnish music in our time. And of course there is Sibelius and there are other composers of early 20th century, but I think we should really work for just going forward, basically, and maybe the modern nation, the young nation, which, there are good and bad sides of it, because of course, if we compare with the Central Europe, then we have a lot to learn. But at the same time, I think it goes together with the sort of technology and all these innovations could be. I think it's like part of the same. It's a spectrum of things, isn't it? And both old and new can coexist. This is my big credo, actually, in music.
Where is technology taking classical contemporary music?
Very interesting. I mean, of course, I've been living in Paris for many years, and I've been working with the Intercontemporain, with many composers who work with IRCAM, which is this splendid, exciting institution that Boulez founded in the 70s. And they have sound research. I think technology is a tool. So it really still needs a master, it needs the imagination and creativity of whoever is using the tool. And the great thing about IRCAM was, of course, that Boulez thought that there should be a composer together with an engineer so that they could do this innovative path together. I think the moment when technology starts becoming a centerpiece of what is being done, then it's not necessarily good for the music. But at the same time, we need to be open for experiment, and it can certainly be absolutely mind-blowing what really, really talented composers can do with technology, when it's not only something that you put on top of music, but when it's an integral part of the composition, and then you feel like you suddenly have several dimensions. It's not 2D, but it's 3D or 4 or 5, and you with the loudspeakers placed in the hall, or with the resonances, or just with the echo effects and everything. And it's really, really to say the very, very cliched phrase, it takes listening to another level when it's done cleverly and creatively.
Have you worked with augmented reality or metaverse yet?
I haven't. I'm very much an analog person. I speak highly about technology when it's in good hands, but I prefer the here and now. And for me, acoustical music is extremely powerful, also because of the resonance, the real energy and resonance that it creates with our bodies, and with technology. It can be augmented in a sense, but I think we can also lose important elements of the music if we're not careful. So I'm all for acoustics, and you have solved brilliantly in Lucerne, of course.
This summer you will come to us and conduct our new Lucerne Festival Contemporary Orchestra, which is one of the few orchestras really fully devoted to contemporary music. All the players in this orchestra are dedicated to contemporary music, which is an ideal situation. It's like a Baroque ensemble that devotes itself to this music on historic instruments and everything, but taking it into the contemporary time. We have a great program coming up with Enno Poppe, who is our composer in residence, and Unsuk Chin will bring her work Sheng with Sheng and Orchestra, which is a traditional Korean instrument, I believe. And then we will have the Sac du Printemps, which was to mend the beginning of contemporary music. How are you looking forward? How are you preparing for this program?
Oh, there are so many things I'm looking forward to. Let's start with the orchestra. The players, I know that the level of the players is incredible, and we definitely share the enthusiasm for this repertoire. So I'm really, really looking forward to working with them. It will be a great, great, great pleasure, I'm absolutely sure. And then about the program, of course, what can I say? Sacre du Printemps is a monument. It's like living repertoire. I could speak about it for a long time, and so many books have been written about it. But there's something absolutely miraculous with the piece, because somehow the urkraft in it, I mean the power is still striking. I don't know. I mean, in French they say "il n'a pas pris un ride," so it doesn't get old. You know, it's still. I mean, obviously, it's we all know it, but the music has the power to be scary and devastating, and it also, what really strikes me now that I've done it, you know, a few times over the years, it's also all the beauty in it. I mean, the colors, of course, in the beginning people were shocked about it, and there were all these rhythmical elements, but I think for me now what becomes more and more interesting with the sacre is the ritual element of it, and the progression, you know, the suspended fear, or, you know, anticipation of things, the smell of danger, you know, it's not the fight itself, but it's really the theatrical elements of it, and I'm so fascinated by the piece, and I'm so pleased that we can do it. And then for these other two composers, both of them masterful. Let's start with Enno. I think he's really one of the great minds of our time. And this piece, Fête, was a commission, and I've been doing the world premiere, and I've worked with Enno Poppe earlier in other contexts, and he's a composer that I really admire, who is a fantastic combination of a great mind and theoretically and composition technically perfect, but he's also a musician. He has a sense of practicality, and it you know, you can make music with his music. It's not that we just have to execute it, but he really has the ear for sonorities, and his phrases are breathing, and it's gorgeous. And I can't wait to hear this piece in the hall also, because it's like a gigantic organ, and it has all these microtonal colors, and it's a brilliant piece, absolutely brilliant. And I'm so happy that you're highlighting his work on the festival, because he's really, really such an important name. And I can't wait for all the things he's going to write in the future. He's fantastic.
How does this work compare to Unsuk's work?
I think there's a similarity in the sense that they have their own personal style while being extremely high métier. You know, they have all the compositional skills and the avant-garde techniques, but they are using all those for their own expression. So they are really, as the Americans say, on top of their game. You know, they are totally free in expression while being incredibly high-tech in a sense. You know, the craftsmanship is incredible. And of course, Unsuk Chin, she's Korean, but she studied with Ligeti, so she has this European, even maybe somewhat Germanic skill. Although this piece, Shu, is very strongly rooted, I think, in the Asian background, and the instrument itself is also, I mean, bringing this very specific color. But what I love about Unsuk's music is that it's incredibly expressive in almost like an explosive way. It has a life force, which is quite spectacular, and she's also having this wonderful ear for sonorities, and she can use the symphony orchestra, you know, with quite small means, and you know how she creates this kind of how should I say, Oriental or Korean or Asian sound world with just a traditional symphony orchestra, you know, using the instrument, and just also theatrically incredibly powerful piece. With Unsuk music, I feel a life force, incredibly strong. It's like fire, and it has the raffinement at the same time, and all the sounds, and it's very expressive, extremely expressive, and it's fun for us performers because it's music which is really physical, and it has a great impact, and I love the piece, and I also love Wu Wei, who is a super virtuoso, and this will be a fantastic performance again, I'm sure.
Yeah, so there's a great way to bring together different cultures in this piece, and she also has been a composer in residence, and we did other pieces by her where she's brought in instruments from her culture, and there are other composers like Toshio Hosokawa who do the same and are very successful.
Although I'd like to add that in the case of Unsuk, she's versatile stylistically. I mean, this piece in particular is, because it's written for this instrument, I think it's particularly colored in this sense. But of course, we know pieces like Alice in Wonderland, this opera, which is absolutely spectacular. And I did it some years ago, and I was stunned by the knowledge, how she's, you know, moving from one style to another. I mean, how she could write tunes like American musicals or you know, really classical things. So she's incredibly polyvalent, you know, she's like a chameleon, and has a fantastic you know, all the cards in her sleeves.
Susanna, we are so much looking forward to seeing you here very soon, and of course, most of all, to the performance on September 2nd, which is going to be one of the highlights of this year's Lucerne Festival, and put us into the paradise of contemporary music. And I'm sure we're going to be drifting away in thoughts and in dreamlands with your performance together with the Lucerne Festival Contemporary Orchestra. I wish you all the best until then, and we're very inspired to welcome soon here in Lucerne. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to this.